Common mistakes made by publicists. I was going through my emails this morning and found an old story I wrote while I was a senior producer with CBS. A global PR agency had asked me to write an article for their employee newsletter. They wanted me to give their publicists tips on how to write a better media pitch. I reread that story and thought, hey, this is good for the podcast. Here's some advice that I laid out in that newsletter for those publicists. Common mistakes made by publicists. Every morning when I log into my computer, I have about 100 new emails from publicists trying to get their client on the next local newscast. I want to read every email closely, but in the era of short staffing and larger workloads, it is physically impossible to read every single pitch. This is why it's so important to clarify and focus your pitch before you hit send. Publicists have seconds to make a lasting impression with the media, and if your email doesn't catch the eye, there's zero chance of getting on the newscast. There is no official right or wrong way to draft a press release, but there are definitely do's and don'ts. Here are a few of the biggest mistakes I see publicists make with their press releases time and time again. 1. Publicists try to cram everything into one press release. A press release has a purpose. It is to alert the media to your story idea, not a time to make the hard sell. Your press release should not encompass every single fact and angle for the story, and it should never be more than one page. Think white is good. The release is merely the first step towards getting you on the newscast or in the local papers. Many publicists make the mistake of trying to cram everything into one page. As a result, the release loses focus. It doesn't make sense. It has no clarity. So when you're writing your press release, make sure it is tight. Look for interesting angles, ways to tease your story and pique the reporter or producer's interest. If the journalist finds your story interesting, trust me, he will follow up with you and ask for those facts that you initially left out of the press release. Mistake 2. Publicists pitch evergreen story ideas. It's hard to fathom how so many people pitch in the media forget the basics of news. People watch the news and read the newspapers because they want to find out what is, quote, new. It's a simple formula. News is new minus the S. Yet surprisingly, many publicists forget this. This is why you should never send a press release that sounds like it could have been written a year ago or even a week ago. I frequently get the same email pitches from publicists that they pitched me several months earlier. They probably think I didn't remember them, or maybe I missed their release or pitch. No, it was probably because I didn't think it was new. Mistake number 3, publicists don't personalize their pitch. It's okay to pitch the same story idea to different news outlets. In fact, I encourage it. You never want to limit your success to one person. And the more people who read the news release, the better chance you have of getting it read. However, I am not a fan of massive email blasts. It's just another form of spam and usually gets filtered into my junk box. You don't have to rewrite the release, but you should add a one-liner at the top of the email telling the producer or reporter why this is a good story for him. Also, take the time to research the right reporter or producer. If you're pitching a consumer story idea or anything that involves money, send it to the consumer reporter or producer. Likewise, if you're pitching a story on a restaurant, find the food critic. It's common sense, but surprisingly, I get pitches from sports and entertainment. I understand how difficult it is to get the media's attention. I've called some of my own friends in the media and I don't get a call back. It's nothing personal. I do believe there is a home for every story idea, and it's just a matter of discovering where that outlet is. So don't get discouraged if no one bites on your idea. Perhaps you need to go back to the drawing board and find a more interesting, timely angle. Or maybe you need to reformat that press release so it doesn't look so cluttered. By following the above rules, you may not get on the news that day, but you will definitely improve your chances for getting coverage.